What happened after the postmodern era? And what does it have to do with Brat? The year is 1816. Joseph, French last name, just invented the camera. You're an artist thinking, damn, I've dedicated my life towards capturing reality, but now this machine took my job? The year is 1918. World War I just ended. You're an artist thinking, wow, I didn't like that, but now I have art skills that veer away from realism, sometimes far away, and I can express my own personal feelings on the tragedies that I've witnessed, and stuff. Cool. An industrial world plus severe tragedy has spat you into modernism. You're rejecting tradition, looking inwards, impressing, expressing, cubisming, and telling the world how you feel. Everything is absurd and abstract, and everyone loved it. Until they didn't love it. Also, World War II. 1940s-ish, World War II, nukes, general, end-of-the-world vibes. And because of all that, you're an artist thinking, fuck tradition and fuck the rejection of tradition. What can art be? You're now being critical of society, highlighting social issues, neo-expressing, pop-arting, being conceptual. The punk movement, Basquiat, Andy Warhol, Keith Haring were being ironic. Movies like Monty Python and the Holy Grail, or Taxi Driver. Then we stopped. Somewhere around the 90s, maybe the 2000s, people got bored. We didn't care about the social issues anymore. People wanted solutions. We stopped asking, what can art be? And started asking, can art be anything? Maybe it could. So we got contemporary art like Comedian, movies like Everything Everywhere All at Once, directors like Wes Anderson, TikTok, social media. We aren't just breaking the fourth wall, we're beyond it. People are interacting with media like never before. Art is past critique of society, now art is criticizing itself. This is the meta-modern era. But it's 2025 now, and the climate is drastically different from the 90s. We're entering a time of social conservatism. You see it in fashion, music, media. Our culture is valuing conservatism over progress and individualism. In the 80s, Ronald Reagan pushed conservative, traditional ideologies into the mainstream. In response, fueled by the postmodern punk movement of the decade prior, counterculture boomed into variations of punk, goth, hip-hop, and new wave. Then, in the 90s and early 2000s, corporations caught wind of this hip new trend, and many point to businesses like Hot Topic for being the death of genuine counterculture. I agree, but I'd also like to argue that the world was getting more progressive, and to a degree, there was simply less to counter. But then, in 2016, Donald Trump was elected for his first term of presidency. In 2020, there was a worldwide pandemic that kinda messed with people. In 2022, ChatGPT was invented, and AI became a very powerful force. In 2024, Donald Trump was elected for his second term of presidency. Similar to Reagan, Trump's influence is pushing conservative, traditional ideology into the mainstream. Then, AI got really convincing. So now, in 2025, I think, once again, there is a culture to counter. I think soon, we might see some sort of counterculture emerge that values individuality, uniqueness, rejection of tradition, but also rejection of these new future AI technologies. It's going to uphold human creation, and I think this counterculture will be a part of a new post-meta-modern era. This era we're entering will be very focused on relationships, duality, and physical human effort. A common metaphor for metamodernism is a pendulum that swings from the sincerity of modernism to the irony of postmodernism. In this post-meta-modern world, we're seeing both ends of the spectrum collide and interact. Irony and sincerity have lost all meaning. We're talking about the relationship between our problems and the solutions we've come up with, the relationship between tradition and progress, the relationship that society has with itself, and it's all very human. Let's look at the three biggest albums from last year: Hit Me Hard and Soft, The Rise and Fall of the Midwest Princess, and Brat. Billie Eilish's Hit Me Hard and Soft was a phenomenal album, and it supports what I'm saying pretty directly. Billie sings about the relationship between hard and soft. Songs like Lunch, a song about eating a girl out, presented in a fun, silly way. The chorus is delightful. I love the line, "It's a craving, not a crush." This song is one of the soft moments of the album. But then, if you look at the song before it on the album, it's Skinny, an emotional song about her relationship with her body and her career. She clearly states that skinny does not equal happy, then follows it up with a happy song about eating. The whole album is about duality. It's in the title, the track list, the lyrics. The rise and fall of a Midwest princess. Again, in the title we can see duality, the rise and fall, and it's not like she's the first one to rise and fall, but you get it. I want to highlight specifically, though, Pink Pony Club. This song is about the relationship between the social conservatism in this country and the desire of individuality. But it's wrapped up in this campy pop song. She's coming from this small conservative town in the midwestern state of Tennessee, and she still very much cares for the people that she left behind there, but she had to leave them because she couldn't not be her true go-go dancer self. Now, for the hardest hitting album of last year, the force no one could escape, Brat. Brat did not hold back. It's an electric dance pop album that is unapologetically sexual, emotional, and raw, with a very clear creative vision that revolves around dancing and having fun. I want to hone in on Apple, though, a song about generational trauma and isolation, an emotional song, but also a fun dance pop song. Apple had its own viral TikTok dance. It's the third highest streamed Brat song. People connected with its meaning, but also enjoyed how fun it was. All three of these albums touch on important or emotional themes, but wrap them up in digestible fun ways, adding to the duality of this post-meta-modernism. They're being ironic and sincere simultaneously. The irony and sincerity are interacting. Additionally, they all reject the ever-growing social conservatism and are very unique, rejecting the recycled, lifeless nature of AI slop. I also want to touch on Lady Gaga's Mayhem. I could spend a whole video on my love for this album, so I'm going to keep it quick, but duality, humanity, the dark imagery contrasted with the fun pop songs. Thank you, Gaga. Also, Cameron Winter's Heavy Metal and Forever How Long by Black Country New Road. Shifting away from music, let's look at movies. More specifically, one of my favorite movies of all time, the 2022 Everything Everywhere All at Once. The directors themselves call it a meta-modern film. A lot of the movie stays in the pendulum of meta-modernism, swinging between separate moments of whimsy and meaning. But there are moments where the absurdity and the depth meet and interact. In my opinion, Everything Everywhere All at Once is the best multiverse story that came out of that period of time where everything was a multiverse story. It makes sense why, though. Multiverses are part of that beyondness that metamodernism is all about. I think that because of AI, that beyondness is going to stop being the tool that saves the day in these stories, and is going to become the villain, the thing the very human, natural hero has to fight. I watched 2 movies in theaters recently, and they're both great examples of these post-meta-modern ideas that I'm talking about. The first one I watched was Mickey 17, which was not subtle at all about anything, so it's easy to use to show what I'm talking about. The villains of this movie were the conservative billionaire who likes red hats and future technology of cloning and space travel. Those things are evil, and our everyday man human guy has to save the day and kill the evil technology. And the other movie I watched that sparked this whole thought process, a perfect example of post-meta-modernism I've been rambling all about, it's none other than a Minecraft movie. Your everyday man Steve discovers a groundbreaking technology that can allow you to go beyond what people thought humans were capable of, only to discover it leads to a tyrant who hates creativity and individualism. And to save the world of creativity, they didn't use the groundbreaking technology. They used human innovation from the real world to do it. Then, at the end of the movie, they decide that human creation is more important and meaningful than whatever can happen with the new technology, because it helps real people. This movie has hit every single point I've brought up with full force. The anti-conservatism, anti-AI, pro-human, duality, relationships between sincerity and irony, fear of the beyond. It's all here. I can't believe it. We're all aware of the TikTok fashion bros of last year with their baggy jeans, jorts, Carhartt, and carabiners. Y2K made a comeback with low-rise jeans and this style of shirts. But compared to jeans like Britney's in the 2000s, real 2000s low-rise jeans were a hazard. They were falling off of your body. They've become this Y2K core aesthetic trend that's not a genuine revival of the decade, which is fine. Same with the baggy jeans and Carhartt of the TikTok fashion bros. We're probably going to call this 20s fashion when we look back at the decade in the future, but dressing like this is more than just a fashion trend. Part of the aesthetic is that you are more well dressed than the other people around you, but they all dress the same. It's more than just a trend. Dressing like this has become a strange subculture of people who think they know about fashion and thrifting and style, but they don't. Not that I do, but this is just a performance. But I guess I'm not one to judge on fashion. Well, I'm wearing this. This itself right here is a post-meta-modern video. I'm talking about nonsense while pretending like I'm making a real point. But I'm aware of that fact. I'm not using any AI to make this, and this whole aesthetic is supposed to be original and unique, but I'm also aware that it's really not. You get what I'm saying, I hope. The clashing ends of the pendulum, fear of the beyond, the rejection of conformity, and brat. This is the post-meta-modern era.